This is not a test. This is your emergency broadcast system announcing the commencement of Phatts TV, sanctioned by PA Phatts and the non-genetically proven son. Any and all words have been authorized during the show. There is nothing off limits. Nobody is restricted from watching and participating in the show. It is a free-for-all. Commencing at the siren, any and all discussions will be legal for an extended period of time. Sports, politics, and any and all controversial topics will be talked about. You have been warned. May God be with us all.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Phatts TV on this Thursday night, January the 28th, 2021. Almost through January already. Kind of hard to believe. Someone was walking around your underground bunker.
Yes.
Joining me as always, from that underground bunker, deep in the heart of central Pennsylvania in a liberal country, the non-genetically proven son. How's it going?
Yeah, it's not that liberal.
Where you are is. The county may not be, but where you are is. Nah. So how's it going tonight?
It's going.
It's going?
We're doing good on stocks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dogecoin's up to over 3.5 cents.
And you bought it at what?
0.2 of a penny.
Very good. Way to make some money on cryptocurrency.
On a cryptocurrency that everybody hates. And that could lead us into one of our topics tonight.
It's going to lead us into topic number one.
The stock market.
Now, let me just say, before we get, you guys, trust me, I've hammered this into your head about how we here on Phatts TV are all about putting the common man first. I do not like anything big, unless they're boobs on girls. I don't like anything, I don't like big government, I don't like big business, I don't like big unions. Anytime something gets big, they take the power away from the little guy. Again, I don't care if it's government, I don't care if it's business, I don't care if it's unions. I'll give you an example. We all know what the federal government could do once Democrats are in charge. Business, Walmart, Amazon, need I say more? Unions, teachers' unions. How do teachers' unions control what your child learns? I don't need to talk about any more. So we're going to talk about what happened yesterday in the stock market. It was a very interesting day. We're also going to talk about what happened today in the stock market. As I'm talking about it, our message board is live and operational should you wish to chime in. So, on a website known as Reddit, we've probably all heard of Reddit. Have you heard of Reddit?
We have heard of Reddit. Reddit?
Why don't you explain what Reddit is?
I would say Reddit is almost like Yahoo Answers in a way. Like a lot of times if you Google something, a Reddit link will come up and it'll give you an answer. I always used it for gaming purposes because people chat on Reddit and a lot of news can come up on Reddit, but it's not normally used for the stock market.
Oh, basically, it's for a place for people to post whatever they want to post.
Pretty much. And
it's not really censored that much.
That's also true.
I mean, yeah, it'll take down illegal stuff like it should. So there's a room. Is that what we call it on Reddit? A group, a room, or whatever.
Reddit. I might have an account on Reddit. I don't know.
Well, there's a room or a group or whatever it's known as called Wall Street Bets.
Okay.
And Wall Street Bets was basically formed quite a little while ago, and it was done to, hi Kiana, it was done to help the little guy make money on Wall Street. So, GameStop. We all know what GameStop is. It's a store for video games.
And it's dead now.
It hasn't been doing too good since the pandemic.
And how gaming went basically fully online.
Yes.
You could buy and purchase things fully online.
Yes. At the end of February last year, you could have bought their stock around like $2.40 a share.
Okay.
So, I'll try to explain this in as plain of language as possible. And it's a little difficult, so if you don't understand it, please type something in the message board, type any questions, we'll be happy to answer them to the best of our ability. I'll admit I'm not an expert at all of this myself, although I do know the ins and the outs. So, when you're buying shares of stock, of course there's plenty of ways to buy shares of stock. One of the things that you could do is you could actually, quote unquote, bet that the price of the stock is going to go down. Which doesn't seem to be the American way of doing things. But you can. It's called options trading. You could bet that it's going to go up. You could bet that it's going to go down in option trading. And you buy contracts. The contracts will have an expiration date on them. But if the price goes the opposite way by whatever percentage, they'll call you. Basically means, hey, you've used up the money we're letting you borrow from us, you owe us money. Meaning your stockbroker. Because you could have cash accounts and you could have margin accounts. Cash accounts, the money you have in there is yours. And that's it. A margin account, the money you have in there is yours, plus the stockbroker will let you use some of their money. You have to pay interest on it, of course. So GameStop. I don't know how many shares of GameStop are floating around out there. Millions upon millions. But the big hedge fund people, again, there's that word, big. You know, the people that control the wealth around the world. They were massively shorting this stock. Because over the last year, it did rise. As I said, around mid-February, you could have bought it at like $2.40 a share. And, you know, there was some day trading going on with it throughout the year. And they basically got it up to about $30-some a share. Which is still massively overvalued for the value of GameStop. Ergo, these big hedge funds, these big stock brokerage companies and all of those were pouring massive amounts of money into options, betting that by such and such a date, the price of the stock will drop. Are you with me so far? Are you with me so far, non-genetically proven son? You're with me?
I sort of know what options are already. So.
Okay. Do me a favor, keep a watch on the message board if anybody has any questions.
Will do.
Okay, thank you. So, all of a sudden, on Reddit, Wall Street Bets, this group got wind of something that was going on at GameStop. There's websites out there where you could put in a stock and it will tell you how many shares are being shorted. Again, when you short something, you're betting that it's going down. Well, if I heard it correctly yesterday, a couple days ago, somebody somewhere, and Wall Street Bets got wind of this, saw that there was 140% of GameStop shares were being shorted. So there were more shares being shorted than shares that were floating around the market. Kind of odd, to say the least. You don't usually see that. Again, all the big corporations were betting the stock was going to go down. So, the little guy, the common man, all ganged up yesterday and said, big banks, big hedge funds, big this, big that. They said, go fuck yourself. And they started massively buying shares of GameStop. They were out everywhere. Any platform, wherever they could get hands on shares, they were buying it. It actually started the day before, and the price went up from 30 some or 40 some dollars a share up to about $150 a share.
So why didn't you buy in at $30 a share?
Because I didn't know about this. When it was at 30, and I would have never bought in at $30 a share because even I know that was overpriced.
Well, I bet you if you know what it got up to today, you would have.
So, on Tuesday, while we were doing the show, it jumped even more. By the time the market opened yesterday at 9:30, that's when the stock market opens. It's open from 9:30 to 4, banker's hours. The price of the stock was all the way up around $350 a share. Awesome. Awesome. Now, the short sellers are buying contracts saying that, we think the price of the stock is going to be $25, let's just say, on such and such a date. Here it's at $300 and some odd dollars. Well, the people that they have their margin accounts with are going to say, you owe me money. I'm margin calling you. Give me money. Or they're going to start selling shares of your stock in other stocks to cover the margin call. So, the big banks, the big hedge funds, yada, 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 took a bath yesterday. They lost billions with a B, not M, not millions with an M, billions with a B. There was a massive transfer of wealth for once from the big guy to the little guy, meaning all the people that were buying shares of GameStop. Awesome. The little guy finally won one. For the first time in God knows when, the little guy won something over the big fucks. Then today came.
Can we? Oh, yep.
What?
Can we mention GameStop at 10 a.m. this morning was $467.
Before the market opened this morning, the price of GameStop was above $500 a share. So, the likes of Robinhood, where a lot of day traders, that's a platform for trading. They have no commission trades unless you're trading options. The people like Webull, same thing. TD America, Ameritrade. Again, all these platforms where you could trade for free unless you're buying options, or on TD America if you're buying pink sheet stocks, penny stocks that are not listed on a stock exchange, you have to pay a commission for that too. It's like $6.50 or $6.95, something like that. No big deal. All of them, all of a sudden, stopped allowing the little guy to buy shares of GameStop and a bunch of other companies too that were starting to get manipulated by the little guy. was interesting.
I have proof.
It was very interesting. You have the list of companies, I would assume?
Well, I have that.
Okay. The stock is not supported on Robinhood. Is that GameStop?
Yes, this is
Okay.
GameStop. Currently,
GameStop.
right
There you go. There you go. There's your proof. So to this moment, you still cannot buy shares of GameStop on Robinhood. Interesting. Interesting. This is how the big guy is fighting back. The only thing that Robinhood, Webull, TD Ameritrade, and all of them were allowing you to do today is sell your shares of stock. How interesting. You could sell it, but you can't buy it. What do you think happens if you have a run of people wanting to sell the stock and not many buyers? What do you think is going to happen to the price of the stock?
It's going to drop.
It's going to drop. And it's going to drop massively. In fact,
it did.
When we said earlier today, it was above $500 before the market opened, and at 9:58 this morning, it was almost $470 a share. By 11:18, it was $126 a share. Let me repeat that. It went from, in 2 hours, went from $470 a share to $112 a share, basically. Why would that happen? Again, because you had the average guy who uses these trading platforms not being able to buy the shares. Well, somebody out there had to be buying them. There were 54 million shares of stock traded hands today. Usually at GameStop, it's an average of 25 million shares per day. So it was more than double. So somebody's buying these shares. If the little guy's not buying, must be the big guy that was allowed to buy. How interesting. How fucking interesting that the platforms that are there for trading for the little guy all of a sudden shut out the little guy. Their excuse was for your own protection. Seriously? Seriously? For my protection? For your protection? Seriously? Do I need you to protect me? It's my money. I don't need you, Robinhood. I don't need you, TD Ameritrade, protecting me. I will protect me. It's my money to decide what I want to do with. You don't see hedge funds being protected by Robinhood, by TD Ameritrade, or anybody else that buys, that sells stocks to hedge funds and, the big guys. I mean, they have their other ways to protect them. There's shares of stock that you could buy when times are volatile called the VIX. So needless to say, it didn't go over very well on social media. It didn't go over very well to certain people in government. Again, I find myself agreeing with AOC. Scary shit when I agree with AOC.
I saw something that AOC and Donald Trump Jr. basically boasted the same thing.
We'll talk about what they
Pretty
said.
scary when they agree.
We'll talk about what they said. In fact, there's a Republican senator out there that retweeted what AOC said. And trust me, they are on complete opposite sides of the political spectrum.
So you're going to say... Oh, what's it? It'll come to me which senator it is.
It's not Rand Paul.
That was one of them I was thinking, but I was...
He ran for president 4 years ago. Didn't get the nomination.
Yeah, trust me, I know who it is. I can't think of his name, though.
You have 5
seconds. I can picture him.
What does he look like? Does he have a mustache and a beard?
Yes.
Would his name be Ted?
Yeah, Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz.
That's who it was. I knew who it was. I had the picture in my head. I just couldn't name him.
Ted Cruz retweeted AOC.
That's good. Because we all know how much AOC loved Donald Trump.
AOC responded by basically saying, Ted, you tried to have me killed 3 weeks ago. I don't need your help. That was odd, but okay. Sometimes circumstances make strange bedfellows out of people. So in essence, that's what was going on in the stock market the last 2 days. Now, if you were able to buy some shares of GameStop before it took off massively, and you were brave enough not to sell them when you see the price falling dramatically, and that would have taken a hell of a lot of courage, you're fine as of tonight. Because again, right now, as of 7/22, GameStop shares are at $326 a share. $327 a share. Now, as I said, the market closes at 4 o'clock, but you could trade after hours to 8 o'clock on some platforms. Webull being one of them. I believe Robinhood lets you as well. If you have a margin account. If you have a cash account, you can't trade. You can only trade between 9:30 and 4.
Say I can only trade between 9:30 and 4.
If you have a margin account, you could trade from 4 a.m. to 8 p.m. basically. At least on Webull you can. I see we're still a little laggy tonight. Interesting.
My feed isn't laggy.
Oh, well, hopefully it's just my TV. That's fine. I hope it is just my TV. So, again, if you were brave enough not to sell when you saw the price dropping from 4 whatever to 1 whatever in 2 hours, that would have taken a huge set of something.
Bet you.
Guys have them, girls don't.
I would have not have sold it. Because I probably would have never saw it. Plus, I don't think I would have been stupid enough to try to buy a stock that keeps closing and opening because of how quickly it's going up or down.
Yeah.
Because you can't trade it when it's closed for that 5, 10, 15 minutes. Usually, it can be.
Now, as what the non-genetically proven son is talking about, if you don't understand, when there's a lot of volatility in a stock, whether it's going up or going down, the market will close that stock for a minimum of 15 minutes to cool everything down. And then it'll open it up again at a certain point. And usually all hell breaks loose again.
Like a stock that I'm referring to would be Kodak.
Yeah.
When their vaccine got approved or whatever, their stock went from like
way of attacking wealthy people and
no, it was like $2.
Yeah.
And it immediately launched up to over 100. Doing that thing, it would go up, flat, up, flat, up, flat. And then eventually, at one point, it just went down, flat, down, flat, down, flat.
Yeah.
It went all the way back down to like $20, and then it stood there for a while, and that's back down to 10.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want to play a clip. It's only a 15, 16-second clip of a gentleman by the name of Leon Cooperman.
Leon.
Who is Leon Cooperman, you say? Well,
Who is Leon Cooperman?
Let me tell you who Leon Cooperman is. He is a New York hedge fund billionaire.
Good for him.
I want you to listen to what Leon Cooperman has to say about what's going on these last couple days. It's very interesting. Very interesting. This is how he was on CNBC today. This is how the rich people think. And you could imagine, just listening to this 15 seconds, what I'm going to say when I pop back up on the screen. I'm just warning you right now. So, let's hear good old Leon. Hold on, I gotta unmute Leon.
The reason the market is doing what it's doing is people are sitting at home getting the checks from the government, okay? And this fair share is a bullshit concept. It's just a way of attacking wealthy people, and, you know, I think it's inappropriate. We all got to work together and pull together.
It's a way of attacking wealthy people. A way of attacking wealthy people. Well, Leon Cooperman, go fuck yourself. We'll attack wealthy people all we want. Because you have been playing class warfare on people like me for the last century and far beyond. We could go back 400 years and talk about class warfare. Yes, I could trace back the Rothschild family that far back, and they've been playing games 400 years or more. Fuck you, Leon Cooperman. Go fuck yourself. Shove a fucking baseball bat straight up your ass if I could.
Damn.
I warned you before the show started tonight that some expletives were going to fly. Non-genetically proven, son.
I just didn't expect a baseball bat. That'd be painful.
I'll be nice and do the bottom end first.
Is that nice?
Well, it's better than starting with the top.
You using lube?
Fuck no.
Ow.
So it's interesting, in less than 24 hours, a class action lawsuit has been filed against Robinhood.
Oh, shocker.
By people like me.
So now, for everybody that would be wondering, is it legal what Robinhood did? Is taking that stock, which is a public stock, straight off the market on their app, is that legal?
Well, I don't know the law. But I'm going to say, now, obviously, is there something in the user agreement that I'm on Robinhood, you're on Robinhood, we're both on Webull, I'm on TD Ameritrade, you're not. Did I read all the fine print when I signed up? No.
That's a lot of fine
That's a lot of fine print to read, and I can't see as it is. Even with these things on, I can't see. So maybe there was something in there. If something was in there and I signed it, well, there's nothing I can do about it.
Right.
If there's not something in there and they did that, there's no fucking way that's legal to allow big guys to buy something and shut out the little guys for their protection.
Tom says he has virgin ears.
I believe you have Virgin something else as well.
Oh.
Obviously not that. He's got 2 kids. So anyway, I mean, one of the stocks that I was in got halted today. It was weird because it wasn't really going up that much.
Wasn't it like AMC or something?
AG.
AG.
AG. So, reading, now I'm a member of that Reddit board, by the way. Me and 3.5 million other people as of last night. And they were talking about potentially doing the same thing with silver. How interesting.
I heard that too.
How interesting. Silver has been manipulated for years upon years upon years upon years. My father, God rest his soul, told me about how 2 brothers, a few decades ago now, got rich selling silver. It was because of them dumping all their shares of silver that the price dropped as much as it dropped. They were known as the Hunt brothers. You may have heard of them. You may not have heard of them.
Collect your quarters from before like 60 whatever.
From before 65.
Collect your quarters.
It was in 1965 that they weren't made of pure silver anymore.
Made with copper.
A mixture. Yes. So I bought into a couple different silver stocks last night in extended hour trading on Webull. They made money today. But one of them was up about 45% and then they closed it. Shocker. And it only wound up like 20 some odd percent on the day. No big deal. It's not like I had 10,000 shares in it. Would have been nice if I did.
Yeah.
So in essence, to make a real complicated situation as basically understandable for people who don't really know much about the stock market, that's what happened yesterday. If you noticed, yesterday the stock market fell 600 points. The New York Stock Exchange. Why did that happen? Because again, all these hedge fund companies that were shorting GameStop all of a sudden got margin called. So they had to pay their brokerage houses. If you don't have the cash to do that, they're either going to sell your shares of something or you have to sell your shares of something to make the margin call. That, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard me talk about Penn Gaming stock a lot on this show. That's exactly what happened to them in March of last year, when their stock in a couple days went from like $16 a share to $4 a share. That's what happened. There was a lot of margin calls out there, so people were selling their shares of Penn stock and a shitload of other companies to cover the margins. That was back, if you recall, right at the beginning of the pandemic when the stock market was falling 1,000 points a day. You can imagine what the VIX was then, by the way, the fear index, the volatility index. It was up above 100.
Let's say it was over 100.
Anybody have any questions? Again, it's a complicated situation that I'm doing my best to explain it in as basic terms as I can. So I found my cousin posted a chart last night. It's going to be hard for you guys to see, but I'll move it over. Another way to explain what happened. So it's on my Facebook page. So GameStop, a story in 4 charts. A chaotic trading forum on Reddit has grown steadily to 2.5 million members. Well, as of last night, it was 3.5 million members. Institutional investors have been betting against GameStop. Again, they've been shorting the stock. A struggling retailer, which they have been since the pandemic started. Here is a graph of their stock from 2016 to 2020. Down here was February, March of 2020 when it hit $2 and some odd cents a share. Number 3, users on Reddit began to rally around a few investors that see value in GameStop. GameStop chatter dominates the forums amidst frantic buying. So on Wall Street Bets on January 25th, all stocks that were mentioned, 44% of them were GameStop. So GameStop obviously was dominating the Wall Street Bets board yesterday. And this is what happened on Tuesday when the stock rose to $148 a share. As GME's stock rises, investors and market makers have to buy GMC shares to cover their short positions, sending GME even higher. That is another way for them to do that, although I might disagree on that they actually took possession of the shares. Yes, they could have taken, well, technically, yes, they have to buy shares of the stock. So they have to sell their other shares because they were margin called. When you get margin called on options, you have to basically buy the shares of stock that you were betting were going down. Again, difficult situation to explain as basically as I just did. So, that's just another graph to explain what happened yesterday. Yesterday was a great day for a little guy. Today, not so much. Because of what platforms like Robinhood decided to do. Let me see if I can find quick all the stocks that they wouldn't let you buy today. AMC, GME, BB, NOK. Nokia was talked about that they were going to do that too. Nokia ended up going down the last 2 days, so they couldn't get in because they were taken off the board. Bed Bath & Beyond was in there. GameStop, AMC, the movie chain. Obviously, they're not making any money right now. American Airlines was part of it. I don't know if their stock was halted, but they were part of this. There was about 12 stocks or so that were shooting up massive percentages. Nothing like GameStop, though. Not sure how many of them you couldn't buy. Look at Nokia. I'm sure you probably still can't buy that on Robinhood. NOK.
Went down $2 today.
So you could buy it right now on Robinhood?
No.
No, still can't buy it. What about AMC?
Cannot buy it.
Cannot buy
That
it.
went down over 50% today.
Well, yeah, because people were starting to panic sell. Because again, Robinhood was letting you sell your shares, but they weren't letting you buy shares. So people start to panic sell. Does anybody remember the movie Wall Street? The 80s movie Wall Street. That's exactly what happened at the end of the movie to Michael Douglas's character with Blue Star Airlines. Remember? Blue Horseshoe loves Blue Star Airlines. At the beginning of the movie, it was Blue Horseshoe loves Endicott Steel. For those of you 80s movie fans. That's exactly what he did. They kept buying, and the price of the airline stock went up, and then all of a sudden, bam, they massively sold it. And then Michael Douglas's character decided to sell it way too late, and he lost a shitload of money. So basically, what happened in Wall Street, the movie, happened in real life the last couple days. You should watch. If you have never seen the movie Wall Street, go watch it. It's actually a really good movie. One of my favorites, of course. Of course. Any questions? It was a pretty long segment today.
You sound like a teacher. Any questions?
Any questions? Any questions? Raise your hand. Bueller? Bueller? So, we'll certainly update you Tuesday on any further developments. So I want to bring up another asshole.
There's a lot of those.
Who knows? Let's see if I can find a picture of him without his name.
Are we still staying on the stock market, or are we
No.
changing topics here?
We're off the stock market now.
Are we now talking about impeachment?
No. That's number 3. Who knows who this asshole is? By the way, the flag that's behind him was when he was running the CIA.
You know, I guess I could take a stab at it since it's on the screen.
Well, if you're a regular watcher of the show, you would know that I hate this motherfucker as well.
John Brennan.
John Brennan. To me, he's an enemy of the United States of America. He's a big-time socialist, bordering on communist.
And he was running the CIA?
Yes.
Oh, good.
So one of our friends in the Democratic Party, which we do not have many, but we do have some, she ran for president. Didn't get the nomination, of course. She was in the military. Hillary called her basically a Russian asset. I could tell you what I think of Hillary Clinton, but the worst word that I could think of is too good for her. It's a 4-letter word.
Starts with a C.
Uh-huh.
Ends with a T.
Uh-huh.
Got it.
So,
Congress from
let's listen to what Tulsi had to say yesterday. She had her own take on what happened at the U.S. Capitol on the 6th. How it compares to... Actually, before we do that, there was one other thing. I'm sorry, we're going to go back to the stock market for a second. There's one other video that I wanted to show. I watch Fox Business every morning from about 8 o'clock till 11 o'clock. Then I go watch The Price is Right. Or at least it's on TV while I'm working. Since, you know, we're all working from home these days. And I like the show Varney and Company. Now, I forget what this girl's name is. She's one of the regulars that are on the show that co-hosts the show with Varney. They were talking about Nokia, again, because this was after Robinhood announced that they weren't allowing you to buy shares of all these stocks. And I want you to listen to what she has to say. Video is 47 seconds long, and it's really the second half of the video that's the interesting part. She must be a regular watcher of Phatts TV. That's all I'm going to say. I might have to turn this up a little bit. So, we don't need to have my ugly mug on the screen. Let's go to her. And this is I did this on my phone from my TV, so the sound quality isn't there.
It is. It's had very heavy trading. They put out a statement saying there is nothing that changed with our fundamentals. There's no news releases that we put out. We just don't understand this wild and frenetic trading. But it is down today, like the other, as you say, casino stocks.
Okay, again, she's talking about Nokia and GameStop and all of them. Stu Varney is calling these casino stocks. I don't like the term. I don't like what Stu is trying to say by using that term. But it's getting to the interesting point here.
Because of the restrictions being put on by Robinhood. By the way,
here comes the interesting part.
Robinhood is getting beaten up on Twitter and social media right now for what they are doing, because what we're failing to recognize is what's going on these forums like Reddit is a movement, right? It is a moment in history where the little guy is saying enough with the establishment, and it's an uprising, if you will, and they're voting right now with their dollars, Stuart.
A movement to where the little guy is saying fuck you to the big guy, is basically what she said.
I think you might have early onset Parkinson's with your little...
There's no doubt I have Parkinson's disease. There's no doubt.
Early onset Parkinson's with your shaking.
Yeah. I figured another 15 years someone's going to need to change my, diaper or something.
But that's something interesting. You probably don't hear that on TV too often, where the little guy says, screw you to the establishment.
But you're starting to hear it a little more, and a little more, and a little more, after somebody's YouTube channel started talking about it all the time. Coincidence? Maybe. Maybe not.
With our 7 million viewers?
Yes.
Got it.
Not many of you might watch me live, but there's enough of you that watch this show later on. Sure, why not? So, all right, let's hear what
January
Tulsi has to say. I wish I had a production crew that would actually set all this stuff up.
Start paying people.
Maybe I need to start floating Phatts TV merchandise to more people than just bowlers. All right, so here's Tulsi Gabbard, former presidential candidate, former congresswoman from Hawaii, former, veteran of the armed forces, who was called a Russian asset by one of the worst people in the world. If it decides to play now. It's not deciding to play right now. So, we'll talk and I'll play around with this for a little bit. Any questions on the board?
No.
Any questions whatsoever?
No questions on the board. Everybody understands us perfectly.
That's cool.
Doesn't happen often.
No. Okay. So, let's see if we got it playing now.
Great talk.
Let's try this again.
Take 2.
The mob that stormed the Capitol on January 6th to try to stop Congress from carrying out its constitutional responsibilities were behaving like domestic enemies of our country. But let's be clear. The John Brennans, Adam Schiffs, and the oligarchs in big tech who are trying to undermine our constitutionally protected rights and turn our country into a police state with KGB-style surveillance are also domestic enemies, and much more powerful and therefore dangerous than the mob that stormed the Capitol. Now, John Brennan said,
So I know looking forward that the members of the Biden team who have been nominated or have been appointed are now moving in laser-like fashion to try to uncover as much as they can about what looks very similar to insurgency movements that we've seen overseas, where they germinate in different parts of the country and they gain strength, and it brings together an unholy alliance frequently of religious extremists, authoritarians, fascists, bigots, racists, nativists, even libertarians.
How dare he use the word libertarians? How dare he? That word should never come out of his mouth. I'd like to punch him right in another baseball bat.
Now, President Biden, I call upon you and all members of Congress from both parties to denounce these efforts by the likes of Brennan and others to take away our civil liberties that are endowed to us by our Creator and guaranteed in our Constitution. If you don't stand up to these people now, then our country will be in great peril.
Now you know why I say John Brennan is a socialist bordering on a communist. How dare he? How dare he call a libertarian a domestic enemy? No, Brennan, you're the domestic enemy of the United States of America. You are just as bad as George Soros. Problem is George Soros is a billionaire, and you're a loser. Loser.
Why do you do that? Like you pull down on your flannel as if it's like a suit coat.
That's what I'm doing. Stressing my point that I'm pissed.
Okay.
That's what I'm doing.
Maybe you should wear a suit and tie for this show.
Maybe I should.
A suit coat, put a tie on?
Maybe I should. Maybe I should. But I'm not going to wear a dress shirt. I got to wear a Phatts TV shirt.
And shorts.
I wonder why it's so laggy on my TV. My TV, it's still all lagging.
My monitor is fine.
Interesting.
Maybe my monitor is just better than your TV.
I did reset everything when I said I was going to reset it. It's weird. When I'm watching Netflix, it doesn't. Just the last couple times we've done this, it's lagging. Interesting.
Is it lagging for anybody else, or is it just him?
Very interesting. I mean, again, it's all green. I'm watching it on YouTube Studio, and it's not lagging on YouTube Studio. If it was, then everybody would be lagging. I haven't seen it lagging there, so it must be just me. So anyway, right on to Tulsi. Right on. 1000% right. Topic number 3. Impeachment 2.0.
2.0. So, it's now fine to impeach somebody that's not in office.
Apparently.
So, why are we impeaching Woodrow Wilson, Buchanan, there's one other guy, Pierce? Why are we impeaching these?
What do you have against Buchanan and Pierce?
They sucked. They did nothing.
How dare you speak ill of Buchanan, the only president from Pennsylvania?
Buchanan is arguably the worst president ever.
How dare you?
That is a debate that you can have with somebody. Buchanan, he literally let the country die. He was the president in the 20s, right? Or no. The 19...
No.
When was he president?
He was in the 1800s. Look it up. You were right. He let the country die. Look up the years he was president.
What did he do? I forget what he did.
Look up the years he was president, and you'll understand what he did. All you gotta do is know the years he was president.
What?
My poor non-genetically proven son doesn't know history.
Oh, the Civil War.
He was the president.
Right before Lincoln.
Right before Lincoln. There you go.
So he let the South secede. Got it.
Well, he put into place the mechanisms that allowed the South to secede. Let's put it
So
that way.
why isn't that impeachable?
Why not?
Apparently, having a conversation to the Ukrainian president is impeachable.
A perfect phone call.
Perfect phone call.
But blackmailing him isn't impeachable.
No.
Like some vice president or some guy who's now president did when he was vice president. That's
I don't know who you're talking about.
And neither do I. So, yes, Rand Paul, senator from Kentucky, was on Lou Dobbs' show yesterday. And he basically said that if we're going to start impeaching ex-presidents, that he was going to push for the impeachment of Woodrow Wilson.
Your favorite president.
Again, if you are a regular of this show, you know my extreme hatred of Woodrow Wilson. Now, I'm not going to say everything he did in his presidency was bad. No. He did put in protections to help the American worker. But that's about the only good thing that he did. For those of you that don't know anything about Woodrow Wilson other than he was president during World War I, started the League of Nations, he was, at least in my opinion, out of all the presidents we've had, the biggest racist of all of them. Does anybody know what Woodrow Wilson did before he became president? He was governor of a state. He was also president of a university. He was governor of the state of New Jersey. Let me read to you an article from the History Channel, of all places. Came out July the 14th, 2020. July the 14th, important day in world history. Anybody know what happened on July 14th?
Kiana's birthday.
Yes. Anybody else know what happened on July 14th?
No, what happened July 14th?
How dare you not know?
Well, important day in history. All right.
World history.
World history?
Yeah, so it didn't happen in the United States. We talked about it on
the Bastille.
The storming of the Bastille.
Yes, I got it right.
You do listen. Take a drink. Is there alcohol in there or is it actually water?
It's water.
It's probably gin.
It's gin. I know a few things that Woodrow Wilson did, but I'm sure that's not what you're going to say.
So the title of the article is How Woodrow Wilson Tried to Reverse Black American Progress. By promoting the Ku Klux Klan and overseeing segregation of the federal workforce, the 28th president helped erase gains African Americans had made since Reconstruction. Woodrow Wilson, best known for World War I, blah, 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 who earned a Nobel Peace Prize for his efforts for the League of Nations, but you could buy a Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, Barack Obama helped an old lady across the street and got a Nobel Peace Prize.
He literally got his names and he's like, what am I getting this for?
Yeah. He helped an old lady across the street.
Was it the old lady from the Skook?
No. She wasn't quite old back then. She was middle-aged back then.
Middle-aged.
But Wilson was also a segregationist who wrote history textbooks praising the Confederacy, and in particular the Ku Klux Klan. As president, he rolled back hard-fought economic progress for black Americans, overseeing the segregation of multiple agencies of the federal government. While Wilson is lauded for his role in World War I, historians and activists have long called attention to his other actions, and institutions have grappled with how to respond to this side of his legacy. June 2020, Monmouth University announced it would rename Woodrow Wilson Hall, blah, 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 blah. In reevaluating Wilson's legacy, it's important to understand not only his leadership through the World War or his business and labor reforms. Again, he did some good stuff for the working class. It's also important to know that on the home front, he perpetuated violence and inequality for black Americans. Here's how. And I'm not going to read the whole thing. Wilson was often associated with the state of New Jersey because that's where he served as governor and president of Princeton. As I said, he was president of the university. But he was born in Virginia in 1856 and lived in Georgia during the Civil War. His parents supported the Confederacy. And Wilson's 5-volume history textbook, A History of the American People, echoes those attitudes. The book adheres to what historians call the lost cause narrative, a non-factual view of history that romanticizes the Confederacy, describes the institution of slavery as a gentle patrician affair, recasts the Civil War as being about states' rights instead of slavery, and demonizes Reconstruction efforts to improve the lives of the formerly enslaved. Wilson wrote that Reconstruction placed Southern white men under the intolerable burden of governments sustained by the votes of ignorant, I'll just use the term black men. There's another word there. I don't like saying that word.
I have a couple things that Woodrow Wilson did then when you're done.
Okay. And those white men who were basically now under the thumb of black men basically formed the Ku Klux Klan. Blah, 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 blah. So, that's what he did there. He also basically resegregated the federal government. He put whites in superior jobs. The U.S. Postal Service he installed back then, basically you only saw the white people. The black people were kept out of sight. Which obviously is completely wrong to do. You can feel free to read the article. Like I said, it's history.com. He was the first Southerner to win the presidency after the Civil War. Believe it or not. Interesting. Very interesting. So what would you want to say?
He screened the pro-Klan film Birth of a Nation at the White House.
Yeah.
We all know what that movie is.
Yeah.
He signed the High Discriminatory and Oppressive Immigrant and Sedition Acts.
Yeah.
He authorized the Palmer Raids, which was the first Red Scare. Huh?
You want to explain what the Palmer Raids are? Say, I don't know what the Palmer Raids are.
The first Red Scare and erupted into chaos of riots and strikes, is what it says it was.
Oh, really?
And then I have two more while you look that up.
Go ahead.
His heavy foreign policy nearly led us to war with Mexico and would have caused the German-American War had World War I not broken out. And appointed the hyper-conservative, extremely racist Justice James McReynolds to the Supreme Court, who would go on to stonewall the New Deal.
By the way, the Palmer Raids were a series of raids conducted in November 1919 and January 2020 during the first Red Scare by the United States Department of Justice under the administration of Woodrow Wilson to capture and arrest suspected leftists, mostly Italian and Eastern European immigrants, and especially what they deemed anarchists, communists, and deport them from the United States. Really. Another reason for me to hate Woodrow Wilson. Deporting my ancestors. Potentially. Excuse me, Wyatt. Whenever you see me doing this, I'm pissed. Like to take that Nobel Peace Prize and shove it up his corpse.
All right.
Hate Woodrow Wilson.
I'm sure a lot of people don't like Woodrow Wilson.
Oh, I'm sure a lot of people don't know about Woodrow Wilson, about the bad side of Woodrow Wilson. Were you taught about this side of Woodrow Wilson when you were in school? No. The only thing you knew about Woodrow Wilson that you were taught in school is he was president during World War I and he started the League of Nations. He was very...
We didn't learn about the League of Nations. We just learned that he led us through World War One.
Okay, well, I learned about his dealings with the League of Nations. The failed attempt to now incorporate the United Nations, basically. Yeah. Anything anybody wants to say? Is there anything on our message board? No. The last thing on our message board was Tom's virgin ears. Okay.
So back to impeachment 2.0,
Yes.
I guess.
Yes. So, it looks as if that there's still going to be a trial in about a week and a half, 2 weeks. They're not going to present any, like, it's going to be weird because they rushed this through the House. I mean, there was, 12 minutes of debate before they voted. They're only doing this so Trump can't run again. Who knows if he's even going to want to run again? I do know he's going to be supporting a lot of populist candidates. As I said, Liz Cheney, daughter of former Vice President Dick Cheney under the Bush administration, she is the number 3 person in the House of Representatives on the Republican side in the leadership position. She's from Wyoming. Matt Gaetz, congressman from Florida, the panhandle part of Florida, once, believe it or not, was Joe Scarsborough's seat. Like to take something and shove it up his ass. Maybe I'll take Mika and shove it up his ass. His wife. By the way, if you ever want to read something interesting, learn about Mika's father in the Carter administration. That's some interesting reading. I sound like I really know what I'm talking about, don't I?
Sometimes.
Well, anyway, Matt Gaetz was up in Wyoming today rallying support for Liz Cheney's opponent in the primary, which doesn't take place for over a year from now. Interesting. And now, there's going to be a fundraiser for Liz Cheney. Led by big business. And those idiot rhinos in the government. Rhinos, Republicans in name only. Like the idiots at, the Lincoln, whatever.
Lincoln Project.
The Lincoln Project, thank you. Those idiots. Like to take something and shove it up their asses, too.
Gonna need a lot of baseball bats.
I'll just take each other and shove them up their asses. I'll squeeze them in there. I'll find the shortest guy and start throwing him in. And the next shortest, throw him in. The next shortest, throw him in. Soon there'll only be one left, and he'll be really fat because he's going to have everybody up his ass. The only reason why I wear flannel. It's been an interesting show. Surprised I've let it go on an hour and 10 minutes. I had a lot to say about Gamestop. Any comments before we call it a night? Anything? Bueller? Nobody wants to say anything tonight. I wonder if it's like the government that's watching me. Wonder if like they're gonna burst through the door one day and like strike me down as I'm, doing the show live. Let's take a quick look down Disclosed TV on Twitter. Yes, my Twitter is still suspended.
Twatter.
Fascists over at Twitter. But I can still look at things. I just can't comment. I can't follow anybody. It's weird. Like the lists that I had made, like I had lists. For those of you that don't really use Twitter that much, you can make lists on Twitter of different subjects and have the people you're following underneath those lists. And then if you bring up a list, you'll only get those people. Like, for instance, I had a list for horse racing. So if I only wanted to look at the people tweeting about horse racing, I'd pull up my horse racing list, and then I'd only get the tweets from the people I'm following and put in the horse racing list. I can't look at them anymore, which sucks. Sucks. Robinhood CEO Vlad Tenev claims the platform limited trade to protect the firm and the customers. Really? I don't think so, Vlad.
Tom said it's getting X-rated now.
I like Tom. There was a protest on Wall Street by the people that are known as Eat the Rich. That's cool.
Eat the rich.
Yep. Obviously, they're on the left. Here's an interesting one. And I don't know if this is true. Disclosed TV reported it, and they were hoping to get Robinhood to comment on it. It says there was a report out there that Robinhood began to automatically sell shares of GameStop for some of its customers. Now, I'm going to assume that it's because, as the price went down today, some people might have gotten margin called. Again, if you don't come up with the cash, they're going to start selling shares of your stock to cover the margin. I'm going to assume that's what happened. I can't imagine that they would just arbitrarily start selling shares of some of their clients' portfolio. That would be a major, like Robinhood would be dead if they started doing that. So I'm just going to assume it was because of margin calls. There's that idiot billionaire again, Leon Cooperman. He was the first guy, remember, I wanted to do a baseball bat with.
Why don't you just do like a glass bottle so it breaks and then it's...
Ouch. Build your own trading app. That's a good idea. Here's the lawsuit that was filed in Illinois, the class action lawsuit against Robinhood. House Speaker Pelosi and her husband, who runs a venture capital firm, bought Tesla call options at a stake price of $500 a share for a total of $500,000 to $100 million just 4 weeks before Biden pushed a $2 trillion Green New Deal. A little insider trading there? Maybe. Joe Biden's new Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen, made over $7 million from speaking at Wall Street firms, including Citadel. Ready for this? Listen. I'll read it again. Joe Biden's new Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen, who was once chairman of the, it'll come to me, the Federal Reserve. She made over $7 million from speaking at Wall Street firms, including Citadel. Citadel is Robinhood's biggest customer. I wonder if they were or weren't able to trade GameStop today. I bet you they were able to buy. A retweet from Robinhood in 2016 saying, "Let the people trade." And Robinhood wants to go public. Interesting. Robinhood has gotten over 100,000 one-star reviews since they started not allowing people to buy GameStop. Interesting. Here's a funny one. When Robinhood turns out to be the sheriff of Nottingham. You obviously don't know what that means. Oh. 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 Do you know who Robin Hood is? Robin Hood and his merry band of minstrels. Robbed from the rich, gave to the poor. Yes. Yes. The sheriff of that village was the sheriff of Nottingham. He was the evil guy in the story. It's interesting how Robin Hood, robbed from the rich, give to the poor, wasn't allowing the commoners to trade today. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. That's it. That's all we're going to talk about tonight. Unless if anybody has anything they want to post on the message board. Guess not. All right. So we'll be back Tuesday to update you on everything that's going on. Obviously, if there's some breaking news, who knows? We may go live. It's got to be like majorly breaking news. Like John Brennan was arrested. We would definitely do a live show on that. All night long. At least I would. That would be and you would see me here drinking and partying, smoking. No, I wouldn't smoke. Partying though. All right. For the millions of you watching, as always, we end the show with Where We Go One,
We Go On.
See you Tuesday.